Good night, Martyville. Good night, East Point. Good night, Hillview. Good night to Culpeper. Good night to St. Catherine's New Road. And a good night to Clarksville. A good night to all in this surrounding area. Tonight, we begin and we continue a movement with the Barbados Labour Party candidate, Dr. Sonia Browne. And to begin this meeting tonight, I'm going to call on one from among you, from among us. I'm going to call on Pastor Houston Innes, who is a member of this community, to invoke God's blessings on the proceedings. Houston.
Thank you very much, Brother Clark. Let us pray. Dear Father in heaven, we give you thanks and praise this night for your blessings. We thank you, God, for your mercies that were extended to us throughout the day. We pray, Lord, that your spirit and presence will be with us as we continue our meeting at this spot. We pray, Lord, that your presence will be felt in such a way that people will focus on everything that is said from this platform. And we ask, oh God, that you will open up their understanding, give them wisdom in terms of determining their choices, Lord. We ask, oh Heavenly Father, that your spirit will direct everything and your blessings will fall upon everyone who is participating in this meeting tonight. And may your name receive all the glory, all the honor, and the praise. For we ask these blessings and mercies in the name of Jesus and for his sake. Amen and amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Houston. Tonight, Dr. Browne herself has put her hand to choosing the speakers who will address you this evening. And already you can see that she is thinking constituency and that she is thinking about people from this constituency of St. Philip North. So she has chosen a set of candidates, a set of speakers, a cast of speakers from the constituency. She has chosen people who were born in this constituency. She has chosen people who were schooled in this constituency. And she has chosen people who live in this constituency. My job as chairman tonight is to introduce to you this cast of speakers. And we're going to begin with a young lady who is resident in the constituency, who is a former student of the Bailey's Primary School and Foundation School. She is a graduate of the Barbados Community College, the BCC, where she did a course in general catering and culinary arts and has been extremely successful at that. She is a member also of the St. John's Ambulance Brigade. And tonight I bring to you a young lady to address you, Crystal Innes Small.
Good night. I am Crystal, and I am 20 years of age. I am quite young, I guess, to be thinking about in the political area, but for having seen how the country has been declining it makes sense for me to speak as a young person as to what I see and what I would like to happen. There's a lot of crime in the area, not only in St. Philip, but all over in Barbados, and we are not dealing with it successfully. We are having more drug addiction, people going up to Glenderry. They're actually refusing treatment, as you would have seen in the paper this week. And I believe that we need to do something more about it. It's not only about the young people or the old people, it's everybody. And you would see that everybody's throwing a lot of idiocracies about the situation of the whole political arena. And we have a lot to think about when we want to choose a candidate to serve us. Because as we see, it's 30 people, but then it's almost 300,000 of us. So we have to pick the best candidate that we feel is doing the right job for us. And we are not getting that from what we have now. We need to think about what our children are going to grow up to have, our grandchildren, how much ever we may have, the educational system. There's been a lot of school violence and violence on the bus and a lot of stabbings, and just we need to think about where we want to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years. It's not just about now. We have a prime minister right now that chooses to speak when he wants to, and sometimes I am a young person, I know a lot of big words, but I cannot always follow where he goes. That's the truth. I would have to look at some of the words that he says when he's speaking. And I think that it should be a little bit more simpler because everybody did not have a secondary school education. You cannot be just about using big words when you feel like it. When we have a farm reserve that is declining, you know, we have to import food. We can't grow everything, but the mismanagement in the money area is the problem. We need to focus on what we need and not what they want. They don't ask us about anything. They don't have any debates. They don't have any referendums, nothing. So we have to go along with whatever they choose to have, and that's not right. Because at the end of the day, they will not be there unless we put them there. So that is the major problem. You know, we have a lot of big buildings that are empty. We have a lot of places that just have fallen down, a lot of old schools that could be used for something else, and all they do is just fall down. Then they have the debushing program where you see certain parts getting debushed and certain parts have a lot of bush that obviously has been there from a good little while. We also have a lot of potholes, and you see people complaining, and you see it on Facebook, you see it in the paper where they have a lot of stuff in the potholes that really not supposed to be there. And then the Prime Minister is going to say that not only we have potholes, it's not about not only us having potholes, but you have to realize that we have to do better because we want to be a tourism industry, we want to serve. And if you want to serve, your service has to be the best. Not people will not choose to come back here. Barbados is a really high-end destination. You have to take a lot of money to come here, even for a 2 to 3 week stay. And, you know, they say that the tourism's up. Tourism is up. Yes, I agree with that, but it's not a long stay. So they're not coming here and spending money. They're coming here, they're staying a couple of hours, they're heading on to the cruise ships, and they're gone. They may even buy a Coke. So you can't say that tourism is up because a lot of more people come in, the tourism up. Yes, they're coming from the plane, they're probably paying the $90 in the tax, but they're gone. So when you look at it, you know, they have the Christchurch sewage system where it smells terrible. You're not going to say that. And then he's going to say that Miami has a sewage problem too. Yes, but Miami is a tourist destination on its own. That is the States. That is not Barbados. We do not have an industry that we can survive on. We had sugarcane and it's no longer there, you know, and this year it hasn't even started yet because of the money issues. We don't know when it will start. We don't know how it will go from next year. And, you know, of course he wants to obviously meet the Queen in this month, which is, you know, to have the the heads of states going to England this month to meet the Queen, from the 16th to 20th. He wants to meet the Queen, and that's his right if he chooses to hold up election because he wants to meet the Queen. That's his right. But at the end of the time, when he finished hold up and we are here suffering, shaking the Queen's hand is not going to put us in a better situation than we are today. It's going to make it worse. We're going to be owing people, and as we see, a lot of loans are going to be due in a couple of months, and then at the end of this year, where are we going to get the money to service the loans from? Everybody is going to go, oh, he knows what he's doing, he knows what he's doing, he knows he's going to win back. The only person who knows what's going to happen is God. That's the only person. And if he thinks that he has God's ears, well, that's good for him. But at the end of the day, we have to know what we want and what we deserve, because we give the people who we choose to select respect. By the end of the day, if they don't respect us, then we are doing a terrible job. Because if we do not come together as one and make Barbados better, then we are going to have a declining dollar, and we don't need that. We don't need to be like Jamaica or Trinidad, where, you know, a slice of bread is 500 TT dollars. We don't need that. We need our dollar to stay strong, and if he decides to hopefully call elections soon, then, you know, it will be on the day that we decide. Whoever decides is best, then we go with it. And the whole thing about having a female leader in Barbados, that they have a debate, we don't need a debate. We have had governor generals before that have been female. We have Dame Sandra Mason, that is a female, and she's the governor general right now, and she's leading the country. Why should we have a debate on a prime minister? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Male or female, we have to lead. If we can't have a female prime minister, that means we will not be able to have a female principal for secondary school or primary school, because it's all the same as a leadership position. You only know how a person is going to do when you put them there and see what they are going to do. But you also have to have a person that's willing to listen and also respond, and not just seeing and hearing everything that's happening and not saying a thing. And we need to do better. That's the truth. We need to do better as a people. Because if we don't do better, then we can't expect better from the persons who are going to come behind us or those who are going to come behind them, because we need a better leadership. Leadership is not only about standing up and talking big words and looking good on a poster and looking good on this. If you can't come into the neighborhood, or if you can't listen to your people about what your people are saying, it makes no sense you being a leader, because then you are not leading. Being a leader is more than that. At the end of the day, we need to be more responsible for who we choose. We can't just have political leaders that are going to come, and when election time ends, they're going to come and they're going to smile in our faces, and they're going to do a lot for us, or they're going to say, oh, hi, you know, when your child starts an exam, we're going to help you with whatever. We don't need that. We need a whole experience. We need, for the whole 5 years that we see you, that we know who you are, and that we know what you're going to do for us. At the end of the day, we are not a one-day person, because we deserve more than that. We need more than that. I have a daughter, and I have to pay health insurance for her, because I can't be the person that takes her to the clinic and wait a whole day, because I have to go to work. I don't have a choice. At the end of the day, you know, we need a better health system. We ranked high in the medical field, which is good, because yes, they have a little bit of trouble in the other Caribbean islands, but when you really look at it, we have to wait really, really long. And they say, yes, you know, the A&E always full. I understand that, but they can still do better. Everyone can do better. They're changing up the drug system now again, which they have a lot of people that have been on certain amount of drugs for years, and that is what they are accustomed to getting, and that's what they feel comfortable with. But now you have to go and call your doctor to see what's going on, and I don't feel that you should be doing that. Not like that. It's just a wrong situation. I have no problem with the cell phone rule with driving, with not using your cell phone when you're driving. I have no problem with that. But what I do have a problem is with how they implemented it. I believe that when you implement something, you should actually talk about it first and give a stipulated time. And the same bicycle helmet law. Yes, I understand it's for the person's safety, but come on, you can't just say it's going to happen next week and then do it, and then don't give anybody a notice of what's going to happen about that time, because you're now putting people to say going scrambling. And then what happened? They may have no helmets. And then they're almost triple the price that they actually were before you had the helmet law. So now people are taking advantage of the people that have to have a helmet. And I have a lot of old people that ride. You don't really see a lot of young people riding, but you know, they had to now go and take money out of a pension to go and buy a helmet. There haven't been a raise of pay in years, 10 years. And with the taxes that they have is ridiculous when you have to look and see how much you have to pay for bills, food, education for your kids. If you have a child at UE, if you have a child in primary, secondary school, it's expensive. And then they say have more children. How can you have more children if you can't afford to have more children? You have to have something to support them on. They don't just eat grass, so you have to have something to support them on. At the end of the day, it's not about he said, she said, B, D, whatever. You have to know who is right for you. And right now, we have representatives that are not doing anything for us in any area. Right now, we are in the 90-day emergency, and I don't see why there is a 90-day emergency, because we don't have an emergency. We don't have a hurricane, a tropical storm. We don't have anything. But as the Prime Minister has said, he is making history through doing what no other Prime Minister have done, which means that he's holding us hostage because he can. That's his right, because he wants to be the first person who have been through the 90 days. But while he's holding us hostage, we are suffering, we are going into more debt, and the foreign reserves are falling every day. What are we going to do about that? We can't do anything. So my point or opinion as a young person is that we need to choose Sonia Browne because she's right for us. You know, I'm 28 and I can see what, you know, she is about. It's not about just the hi, how are you doing, or, you know, how it is, and having a short speech. Is about the next 5 to 10 years being a better country, having a better economy, and actually surviving the economy. We are only as strong as our weakest link. And right now, if your people don't have any money to spend, that means your government doesn't have any money, because we only pay taxes from what we have. And if we don't have anything, then you will have nothing. So I am going to bid you good night, and thank you very much.
All aboard? Yeah. You ready to roll? Yeah. Can I talk just a little bit? Can I really
Thank you. Thank you, Crystal.
Can I really talk just a little bit? Hold on. Now is the time. Now is the time.
And I want to thank you especially for having identified that we have some serious problems, not only in this country, but serious problems in this constituency, because we have a representative. We have a representative, as you will notice, who has a kind of method of operating that I am really concerned with. If you look at what happens every single election year, you will find that our representative will be seen in the constituency for about 6 months. After the election, you will find out that he is nowhere to be seen in the constituency. For 4.5 years, he is absent from the constituency of St. Philip North. And come election time, he comes back and he gives you about 3 or 4 months of work. Look at this same road that comes from Wellhouse to Bayfield, and I will mention it every night that I get on the political platform. Every single night I will mention it. Because this road from Wellhouse to Bayfield was being done from 2003. And this is 2018. 15 years. And this road has not been completed from Wellhouse to Bayfield. And every single election year, he comes back and he does a little piece. He is the minister. Every single election year you find that happening. He comes back and gives you about 3 months of work and wins the seat, and then you don't see him for another 4.5 years. Trickery, foolery. It is a way of just winning the seat and being absent for the remainder of the term. Now I want to introduce a very good friend of mine, a man who sat next to me in primary school, a man who has done yeoman work when it comes to social clubs, when it comes to the church, when it comes to welfare, but somehow his best contribution has been in the area of family planning. I want to introduce to you a man who is no stranger to this constituency, because he has been a candidate seeking election in this constituency. I want to bring to you my good friend, George Spencer Griffith.
Go tell your friends, tell your whole family, tell the stranger upon the left, tell the stranger upon the right. We're rolling with BLP, it's one chance to make this right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to bring greetings to the Martyville community. But I must also bear in mind that this meeting is being streamed live, and there are a number of persons in and outside of Barbados who are listening to what we are saying. And we want to say a warm welcome to you as well. I want, before getting into what I have to say, to commend the young lady who spoke first. I thought she was courageous. She made some very valid points, and it is a sign of things to come for young people in this constituency. So, Crystal, congratulations. Now, Martyville has been home to me and my immediate and extended family for at least 150 years, and perhaps even more than that. And those who are a pinch older than me would remember Catherine and Fitzherbert Griffith, who spent their entire life right here in Martyville. And they were community leaders in the church army, in more ways than one. I have mentioned this to make the point that I am at home here tonight and feel very strongly that we are all one family with one history, one destiny, one purpose, and indeed we are our brothers and, shall I say, sisters' keeper as well. We have always had a very strong community spirit in Martyville. And despite the fact that from time to time we have had our setbacks, we've had our successes, we've had our challenges, this remains Martyville. And the people in this community are very strong. They're very resilient, and they know what it is to get up every morning, go off to work, and to ensure that they provide for their families, that the children are kept safe, and that we remember always that, like good old country folks, we are in this together. It is not therefore with any comfort, though, that I must tell you and explain to you that our country, Barbados, is in deep crisis tonight. And Crystal mentioned some of those. There are other persons who might say that I am being a little too decent by saying that we are in deep crisis. And others might prefer me to say that this Democratic Labour Party government has led us, the people of Barbados, into deep, deep water. Before getting ahead of myself, let me state very clearly that, like other speakers and party supporters, I am here tonight to give my 100% support to our candidate, Dr. Sonia Browne. Dr. Browne is a very talented, hard-working, and highly skilled and dedicated medical practitioner. She is, in fact, the first female candidate of the Barbados Labour Party for this St. Philip North constituency. And I am confident that with your support, she can become the first female member of Parliament for the St. Philip North constituency. I need not remind you that the majority of voters are women. And if women support their own, history can be created beginning right here in the East. History can be further created in Barbados if the first female to lead a major political party in general elections is successful. And I'm referring, of course, to Mia Moore-Mortley. And she has what it takes to lead this 80-year-old political party to victory whenever the election is announced, and it must come within the next 6 weeks. She has what it takes to restore Barbados to the growth and development we have become accustomed to and which we so desperately need in these times. So that Mayor Mortley, Dr. Sonia Browne, and our Barbados Labour Party team is sufficiently capable and possess the strength, the intellect, the experience, the dedication, and the determination which will restore the hope and confidence which is so sadly lacking in our body politic today. We have had a slogan in the past, but I will make an adaptation to that to say that Barbados needs Mayor Mortley and the Barbados Labour Party now more than ever. Like the rest of us, Barbadians are sucking salt and have had their quality of life undermined by a government which has lost its way, and that is to put it mildly. You'll remember that prior to 2008, we recorded the lowest unemployment rate Barbados had seen at 6.7% in its entire history. You remember as well that we boasted, the country boasted and was very proud to say that there were record levels of foreign reserves, in fact in excess of $2 billion. And tonight there is a debate as to whether or not we have any, or whether or not it is simply $200 or $300 million. An amount that is not sufficient to keep this country moving forward. And so the salt that we have been sucking will become coarse salt if we make the mistake and give them another term of office. They came to office on a platform of falsehoods. They made promise after promise to you, the people, and broke every one of them in the 2 terms that you so generously gave them. In 2013, they told the whole of Barbados that if the Barbados Labour Party was returned to government, that 10,000 people would be sent home, that 10,000 public servants would lose their jobs, and that if they were the government, not one public officer would have to worry about losing his job, because their intention was to ensure that jobs were preserved. And lo and behold, as soon as they won the election, they shamelessly sent home thousands of public workers. And I believe that some of those public workers, even tonight, are still fighting to get their retirement benefits. And while I'm on that, I must mention the name of a gentleman from St. Thomas called Peter Scott. I mention Peter Scott's name tonight because we worked together for the Barbados Labour Party throughout the 1980s and beyond. He wrote a column for the Barbados Labour Party, The Nation, and I wrote one in The Advocate, and therefore we collaborated very closely. Now, Peter Scott was the director of the Rural Development Commission in Barbados, and he was doing a good job. People commended him for the good work he was doing, the fact that he was seeking out people and ensuring that their problems and their issues, insofar as it related to the mandate of the Rural Development Commission, that their problems were addressed. Immediately after that 2008 election, the then Prime Minister David Thompson introduced a system, which they promised they would introduce, of having press conferences after the Thursday cabinet meetings. And one Thursday afternoon, David Thompson gleefully said to the whole of Barbados that he was firing a number of persons, and Peter Scott was one of those persons fired that afternoon. Now, we all knew that he was wrongfully dismissed, and therefore he hired an attorney and went to court. After a protracted period, the High Court ruled that he was unlawfully dismissed and therefore awarded damages. I think it was about $800,000 at the time. Peter Scott died and was buried about a month ago, having not received one red penny, even though the High Court had ruled that he was entitled to be paid. That took a terrible toll on Peter Scott. And of course, he would not want to walk about and tell people, but he was hurting, and we knew that he was hurting. And I am satisfied that he went to an early grave because of the problems that this wicked and vindictive government did to him. And I think that we in Barbados are sometimes too submissive. There is no way that with all of these lawyers and human rights advocates and non-government organizations, practitioners who write in the papers every day, who call in on the radio programs every day, should be sitting down, going to bed at night, waking up, pulling the fridge, and having a breakfast of their choice. But Peter Scott and people like Peter Scott, because he was not the only one, were sucking salt. They were suffering, going through the agony, knowing that they were politically discriminated against, and we, who call ourselves a Christian society, sat back and allowed it to happen. And the people of Barbados must punish the Democratic Labour Party for what they did to Peter Scott and all the others whose name I would not mention, because they still have cases in the court. So that we really and truly have to wake up and pay attention to what is happening in this country, Barbados. So that tonight Our country is on the brink of economic disaster. And there are those who would say that we have gone past being on the brink. We are on that slippery slope. Because the government continues to spend more than it is earning. The government cannot pay its bills. And who are the persons who are going to bear the brunt of this? It is the poor people in Barbados. The people who have to rely on a non-contributory old age pensions, persons who are pensioners for an extended period of time and therefore are earning pensions which cannot meet their daily living expenses. So that the poor has become poorer with this lot in government. And despite all the promises that they're making now, they have no intention of keeping any of those promises, because we have seen for 10 years promise after promise, and they break them with impunity, and we, a submissive set of people, sit down and we've been taking it. And we must not take it any longer. Every Democratic Labour Party candidate that shows his or her face in any constituency must be reminded of the inadequacy of this government, the fact that they are clueless with respect to the management of the economy, and that the people who will bear the brunt of that will be the poor people. We have to admit that they just cannot get the country run. I don't know what it would take for the people of Barbados to recognize that. Our Constitution makes provision for a general election at 5-year intervals in Barbados. And existing political parties and individuals who so desire may offer themselves for election to Parliament as representatives of the people in the 30 constituencies across Barbados. And of course tonight we all know that we have gone past the 5 years. You do not have a functioning Parliament, but you have a cabinet which is in office. And the question is, where is the democracy in all of this? How is it that we who, for the past 50 years, boast about our commitment to law and order and the democratic process, but today we find ourselves beyond 5 years and waiting patiently for someone to tell us, okay, it is time for you to get into the polling stations and do your business. But I must say that Barbados today is at its lowest ebb. And we must bear in mind that it is our duty to save this country, Barbados. I'm saying it tonight, maybe not as passionately as I should, but we are here tonight in a country which is unable to provide for its citizens the peace and the tranquility and the comfort that they have grown accustomed to over time. And really, what is the role of any government? The role of the government is to manage the affairs of the country efficiently and effectively. Efficiently meaning that we are going to get the job done with the least amount of resources possible without compromising the quality of the services we provide. And effectively, that we are going to do what we say we are going to do. And on both counts, the government has failed miserably, because they came to us with a program, a long list of promises, and they've broken each and every one. The level of financial prudence and management that we had grown accustomed to has gone through the window. So the government is taxing and spending, taxing and spending. So the deficit has grown wider and wider, the national debt is higher and higher, and we are left in a situation where Barbados is on the brink. So that this 2018 election will make the difference between getting our country back on track and the drift and decay which has become the order of the day over the past 10 years. In the last election, I was talking a lot about the country being maxed out in terms of taxation. I could never imagine that so many additional taxes could be put on the backs of the people. The allowances that people were provided for to help to cushion the impact, all those were taken away. And as a result of all the taxes, the cost of living has skyrocketed. And people now are scrunting from day to day because tax after tax was implemented and people are left to fend for themselves with no sympathy from the government. So we have to be concerned that Barbados needs us now more than ever, and we have to rescue Barbados. Governments are elected to serve the interests of each and every citizen. And this Democratic Labour Party government has betrayed the most vulnerable members of society. Now, one would have expected that with the NSRL, the increase in VAT from 15 to 17.5%, the removal of all of the allowances, one would have expected that the government would have seen that more and more people would need support. No, but for 10 years, public officers were without a salary increase. We've seen the government disrespect the trade union movement day in and day out, promise to meet with them, and then don't fulfill the promise. Treat the trade union movement as if they were boys in the yard. But yet, this is a government which tells you that it is committed to the democratic process and that it has respect for the men, women, and children who constitute its population. So, public officers are expected to produce, but they have given no salary increase over 10 years, and then we expect that we are going to see improvement in the productivity of the people. I do not think that we can expect that, because it is said that money makes the bear fly, and if people cannot meet their daily living expenses, how do you expect that they're going to go into the office and give you 8 hours of work when they have to be concerned about feeding their children and paying the bills and paying the mortgage and paying the rent? This is stress. This government has brought so much stress on this population. It is a wonder that so many of us are still able to walk the streets of Barbados and are not confined to Black Rock. But I say to you that better must come and better will come. And we can all say tonight that deliverance is at hand, because we have Mayor Motley and Dr. Browne and the Barbados Labour Party with a program that is going to turn this economy around. And I want you to feel tonight that you can be confident that you have a team of people, 30 men and women, with experience, with skill, with intellect, with level heads, and with the capacity to do the job that must be done for Barbados. I really and truly do not understand how they can justify another term of office, and how they can have the gumption to come to the people of Barbados and ask you for a vote. We thought that 2008 to 2013 was bad, but Lord have mercy, 2013 to 2018 is beyond the imagination. I would never in my wildest dreams contemplate that 30 men and women and all the hangers-on that are associated with them could possibly bring this country to its knees in the way they have done over the last 5 years in particular. So there would have to be people who are shameless to come to ask us for another term. We are worse off than we were in 2007 and 2013. And I ask you, and I ask the whole of Barbados, what can the Democratic Labour Party do with another 5 years if they were not able to cope with the first 10 years that they had? I mean, we cannot expect that they're going to do any better. It will be more of the same. And really, we will be gluttons for punishment if we gave them enough votes to constitute another government. But listen, we can expect a campaign of lies, distortions, manipulation, fake news, and exploitation of the vulnerable in our society when this campaign gets into high gear. Because you're dealing with a set of men and women who realize that their backs are against the wall. And you know what happened to an animal when its back is against the wall? You have to be very careful. They're desperate. So they will tell you anything, and they'll do anything now. They will start any number of projects to give you the impression that they're reformed and somehow they're seeing the light. They're washed in the blood of the Lamb. And they are now going to be able to take this country forward. Do not fall for it. We, the people, have the opportunity to change this country for the better. And we must not miss out on that opportunity. We must vote wisely and don't be fooled twice. Don't be fooled twice. Barbadians, now, every system of government has fallen down. Garbage collection, poor, poor, poor. Some people say they hardly have any. No trucks and no equipment, but we pay the taxes. And they get a vote every year to run the Sanitation Service Authority and the Ministry of the Environment. But garbage pile up all over Barbados. And the rats and the mice and the cockroaches are having a grand time because they're fed. The DLP is responsible for that. I don't want to dwell on the South Coast sewage system, but I know that if you do not maintain any system at all, you're going to have problems. And for those persons who made the point some time ago, or the 9th point, I should say, that the sewage system was faulty from the beginning, and after 20 years, that the Barbados Labour Party must take some blame for it. I ask them, where are they living? Any system, if it is not properly serviced and maintained, will cause problems. We run our motor cars on the road, and we make sure that we monitor the oil gauges and the water and so on, that we can keep them going. We go to the doctor to make sure that we maintain our health. But we have a sewage system, and between the time that it was established and now, the population on the South Coast grew and expanded. There are many more businesses there, many more hotel rooms, and therefore you would expect that there will be a greater demand on the sewage system. But these people took the taxpayers' money year after year, but left the system alone. And now Barbados is in a very embarrassing state tonight. I would not drive my car on the South Coast, neither would I walk on the South Coast, because I'm not subjecting myself to that. And we have to hold the government accountable. No excuse is good enough. So we have to judge them harshly for what they have done. The Barbados Labour Party has a vision for the future. The Barbados Labour Party will come to you with a program that will restore the quality of life of people in this country. And therefore, tonight, I say to you that you have a young, vibrant, energetic female candidate who is ready and willing to serve you. You hear what I say? She is ready and willing to serve you. She is not going to function like any McGuffey who will hide from you, like Mr. Clark said, and then suddenly pop up at the right time. It's like the people who, in the days gone by, when you had the outdoor kitchens, would hang back. And once the smell that the rice was drying down, or the pork was completely baked, would turn up at your house just in time. So be wary of those politicians who will turn up just in time, and you will know how to deal with them. So I want to bring what I'm saying to an end. You don't want to hear me the whole night at all. But I want you to know that Mayor Motley has been tested and tried. She comes to this general election campaign with a wider range and a deeper level of experience than any leader of the Barbados Labour Party in the past. And we know that they're going to use social media, they're going to do whatever they feel might work. They're going to bring a heap of false charges against her. They're going to try to cut her head off, figuratively, of course. And you must be on the lookout, because I understand that they're going to wait until that last week of the campaign, like they're so good at doing. And they're going to dump using social media and any other platform available to them to say the worst things about her. I want to warn you. I want to warn you that the future of this country, the restoration of the good quality of life to which we have grown accustomed, is dependent on Mayor Motley and the 29 other persons who will be facing the electorate in this election campaign. I urge you to trust her. She has held a number of ministries in Barbados, and on every occasion she demonstrated her capacity to get the job done. When the prisoners rioted and burned down the prison, and people thought that you would have criminals running and wreaking havoc across Barbados, she worked day and night to make sure that there was a temporary prison in place, and that with great haste we were able to establish a state-of-the-art prison right here at Dodds. There were some people in the community who were concerned about that and were complaining that they did not want prisoners in their community. But we have a state-of-the-art prison. In fact, I was serving abroad at the time and had the good fortune to visit a number of detention centers and prisons to see exactly how they were set up, using what is called the pod system. In other words, you can, from one single control room, you can close down any section of the prison by pressing a button. And that is why prisoners have not been escaping from Dodds as they so often did at Glenderry. That is because Barbados Labour Party government was sufficiently visionary to bring to the country a proper facility, because you still have to bear in mind the rights of the people who are in that prison. And there are some who would call in on the programs and talk about where the money could have been spent. The money had to be spent at the time, and it was spent. And Barbados is safe and secure tonight, knowing that all convicted prisoners who have been sentenced are properly secured, and they cannot get out unless somebody let them out. So I said all of that to say to you, you can trust Mayor Motley. She's a woman who can be found any part of Barbados, any time of the day or night, and you can approach her. And you can call her and she'll return your call. So that is the kind of person we want. And her lips are not zipped. She will speak to you. So I warn you and urge you, therefore, all the people who are listening to me in Marley Vale, when that time comes, you know what you have to do. This community has always supported the Barbados Labour Party, going back from the 1950s until now. And there is no reason why we should change it now. In fact, we have every reason to redouble our efforts to make sure that everyone comes out and cast a vote for Dr. Sonia Browne. Because when you support her, You support the Barbados Labour Party. You support Mayor Motley. And deliverance, therefore, will be at hand. I thank you for listening to me and wish you a good night.
You ready to roll? Yeah. Can I talk just a little bit?
Thank you, George.
Just a little bit.
I think you need to give him another round of applause for that. An excellent presentation. Thanks for reminding us that at this time we have a government that is a government by proxy, because they have allowed Parliament to dissolve. They have allowed Parliament to dissolve, and yet they are getting paid from the government purse. They will be paid for the next 90 days if they go right up to the end of 90 days. 3 months. 3 months. And in 3 months at $680,000 a month. If you add the parliamentary secretaries and people like that to it, then you have over $1 million a month. So you are in excess of $3 million over the next 90 days, which they will be paid from the government coffers. And I believe that that is not right. The people of Barbados and the people of St. Philip need to vote against that. Remember, George, and you reminded us that the foreign reserves in this country are really on a slippery slope, and a whole lot of people have to get serious about this. And if you listen to the former governor of the central bank last night, he reminded us that if this should continue, that we will be in dire straits in order to preserve the present exchange rate of the Barbados dollar. He reminded us that if they should continue along the path that they're going, then Barbados will not be in a position in order to protect the exchange rate that it presently has. And he, remember, is the former advisor to the Minister of Finance on financial matters. So he knows. And in the last central bank report, there was something like only 6 weeks of foreign cover. And if they should continue to spend over the next 90 days, you can imagine what can possibly happen to our foreign reserves and what will happen to our Barbados dollar if we should continue along that path. Now I am going to introduce to you tonight a man who needs no introduction in this place. He obviously needs no introduction because he belongs to this place. He's the former representative of this constituency. He introduced the St. Philip North the primary school quiz. I was the quiz master, so I know about that. He introduced the St. Philip North the night cricket as well. And we all know about that. Marleyville had a team. Lauderdale had a team. Merritt's had a team. Church Village had a team. I am going to introduce to you tonight the former representative of this constituency, Mr. Rudolph Cappy Greenwich.
Everybody ready? Go tell your friends. Tell your whole family. Tell the stranger upon the left. Tell the stranger upon the right. We rolling with BLP. It's one chance to make this right. Together we rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thought that I, having just arrived, was coming to hear a few of the speakers before they actually reached me. I never realized that I was going to walk straight into this. This is a spot meeting in Marleyville. A spot meeting at a time when no campaign has actually begun, because the big boy has not yet even given us an election date. But what we are doing with these spot meetings, people of Marleyville, is coming and introducing to you your next representative for the constituency of St. Philip North, Dr. Sonia Browne. And in particular, I want to touch the heartstrings of the ladies in Marleyville. I want to touch the heartstrings of all those young women in Marleyville. And I love the ladies. And the truth is that when I was looking back at the history of St. Philip, I realized that Dr. Sonia Browne is the first lady to show a real interest in St. Philip since the days of Florence Dash in 1958. And that says a lot for the person that we are bringing to you. I want her, and I want you to help me to see her become the first female to represent St. Philip in the House of Assembly. I want Sonia Browne to be our Billy Miller. I want her to be our Cynthia Ford. I want Sonia to be our Liz Thompson, our Mae Motley, our Santia Bradshaw. Strong, strong ladies who have represented their constituencies on behalf of the Barbados Labour Party and who have done so very, very well. I want you to help me to put Sonia Browne where she really belongs, in the House of Assembly in Barbados. Dr. Browne, as you know, is a medical doctor by profession, a very charming, a very pleasant young lady. And I know that when people go to her with a lot of the complaints, that they tell her, and she tells them, what is making them sick. The stress that has been brought on by the pressures and the hardships that they have to face in this country, Barbados. And you know, I have heard some of the worst things about Michael Ashley. I can't say them. I can't say them. But one thing I can tell you is that there's nobody in Barbados, there's nobody who can say a bad word about Dr. Sonia Browne. Marleyville, I want to tell you too that this is no DLP seat. St. Philip North is not a DLP seat. This is no Michael Ashley seat. I used to say that we only have 2 safe seats in Barbados. Mae Motley's seat and Mara Thompson's seat. I used to say that. But now I put it down to 1. We only have one safe seat in this country, and that is Mayor Motley's seat. All the other seats, we will fight for. We'll fight to keep the ones we have, and we'll fight to make inroads into those that we don't have. All of this one is one that we'll fight for. We will fight for this one again. Because this seat can be won back by the Barbados Labour Party. David Simmons won this seat. And Capri Greenwich won it, and Capri Greenwich won it on 2 occasions. I had this seat for 2 terms. This is no safe seat for Michael Ashley. This seat can be won again by the Barbados Labour Party. I remember a few weeks ago when I went through 2 districts, the district of Padmore and the district of Church Village. And I was pleasantly surprised at the overwhelming support that there is in those 2 districts for Dr. Sonia Browne. I went to some houses where the people did not vote for me, but those people have told me, we're voting for Dr. Browne this time. There is a move adrift that the people who voted for Michael Ashley on the last occasion are now saying in those districts that they will be voting for Dr. Sonia Browne. You see, this government has done so much nonsense. This government has imposed so many taxes on us. We have had so many downgrades. The last time that there was a swing of this magnitude in Barbados against the Democratic Labour Party, we, the Barbados Labour Party, won by 26 seats to 2. 26 to 2, Thompson and Kelman. The only 2 that they had in the House of Assembly. And I can feel it. I can feel it. That this is going to be a huge victory again. A huge victory. And I'm begging you, Marleyville, I'm begging you, St. Philip North, give us Dr. Sonia Browne. Let us reason this thing together. Let us reason. And hear me on this point. Michael Ashley's government, Michael Ashley's party is in power now. Michael Ashley does nothing for you. Nothing for you. And as I was trying to tell you just now, you are sure that the Democratic Labour Party will lose this election. The question I'm asking you is this: why put him back there to be in opposition? Because they're going to lose. Why put him back there to be in opposition? To do what for you? Less than he is doing now? If he is doing nothing now that his government is in office, why are you going to put him back there to be in opposition? To do less for you? To do less for you? Let me tell you something. That there were times when I heard, in fact, even tonight I heard it. I heard Donville Innes tonight saying that Frenel Stewart should have called elections long time ago. Donville says so tonight. Donville says so tonight. That he think this, he should have called it long time ago. The point I'm making is that Donville Innes has criticized the policies of his party from time to time. I heard him. This is not the first time. There were times too when people like David Eswick used to say that the Dems' proposals would not work. But never once did I hear Michael Ashley making his personal feelings known. He should have, when Ronald Jones and Frendel Stewart and those said that students now have to pay fees at university, someone in Michael Ashley's position should have said, some of my constituents have 2 children who are at university, 2 students. I can't stand for this. He could have come out and he could have made his opinion known. He should have made his feelings, just as Innes and Eswick and all the others were doing. He could have made his feelings known to his constituents and say, I do not agree with those policies. I do not agree with those recommendations. Never once did he hear his voice. Never once. You know, you can just imagine that this St. Philip, North, South, and West, we are represented by 3 ministers. 3 ministers. And wherever you go in St. Philip, you can hear people saying that we are the most abandoned parish in this country. And you know, I always reflect, and I always used to say, you know, when Cappy and Woody represented St. Philip, they only had 2. You got better representation from the 2 of us in St. Philip than the 3 of those put together. Better representation. I am telling you, I'm begging you again, put in Sonia Browne for me, the darling of St. Philip North. And I want to let Marleyville know, East Point, want you all to know that Sonia Browne has my full endorsement. I am the person who proposed her to be a candidate in this election. I proposed her because I know she has the ability to do the job. And her heart is pure, and Sonia Browne's hands are clean. Her hands are clean. One of the most important points to make in this election. Her hands are clean. Clean. Clean as a whistle. So I'm asking you, why are we going to give them 5 or 6 or 7 seats and make Michael Ashley one of those? It makes no sense whatsoever. So I'm urging you in Marleyville to help me, to take him down with the DLP ship. Take him down with the DLP. The ship is going down. It is going down. The ship is sinking. And let all of them go down. Don't let him be one to survive. I know he has money. I know he has a lot of money. And I will tell you what happened right here in this building last election. Last election, I was in here between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. Election day. And I remember a young lady, I almost call her name, man, Cindy. And she said, Mr. Greenwich, you know, they gain up money down there. That's the way you're telling me it all. She said, man, yes. I'm going down there. And 2 other girls went with her. And they went down there by Ralphie shop. And they brought back up 3 envelopes, 1 each. Inside it was $200 a piece. And they opened it right there in front of me and showed me. Right there, in this same building. This same building. They did not even know who they were giving the money to. Our BLP people left in here and came back with $200 a piece. $200 a piece. And they're going to come again. And they're going to do it. I know a friend will tell you all, I didn't tell you, take the money. Friend will tell you all what to do already. They're going to come back again. They're going to come back again. You know a friend will say, take the money. But you know where to put the vote. You know, I have always believed that Lashley does not like Marleyville. I have always believed that he does not like Marleyville. Of all the districts, of all the communities in St. Philip North, the one that he doesn't like at all, you see here? He doesn't like Marleyville. He has been the representative of this constituency for 15 years. And in those 15 years, Lashley has not spent 15 hours, sorry. He has not spent 15 hours in Marleyville. I won't talk about an hour per year, you know. I only talking about an hour per year, 1 hour in every year. He has not spent 15 hours in Marleyville. Never. You don't see him. Some funerals I go to from people, and I said, if he's sure to be there. The man don't even go. He doesn't care about this part of the vineyard at all. Doesn't care about this part of the vineyard. But Marleyville, I tell you again, when I ran for this constituency, I got nearly every vote in Marleyville. And let me tell you now, I am begging you, all I'm doing is begging you, transfer my votes to Sonia Browne. In fact, I talked to David Simmons, you know, I went off about a week and a half ago, just before I went off, I spoke to him. And, you know, he's saying the same thing that I am saying. That the love, he is begging the people, the love and the votes that they gave to him, he would like them to be transferred to Dr. Sonia Browne. So Marleyville, don't let me down. This is only, I asked George Griffith what he would call a little speech like the one I have given. George tell me, this is foreplay. The real thing will come afterwards. Good night, folks.
Thank you, Cabby. Now I told you that Cabby was the person who put this constituency on the map, and he did so, and he did so with class. I can tell you that when Cabby was the representative in this constituency, we used to have every single year a domino competition going that was second to none in Barbados. It was the envy of all the other constituencies in the island. And I remember the Honorable Mayor Mortley coming up to do the presentations at Hilda Scheme. And she said, Cabby, if the other representatives could do what you are doing in your constituency, none of them would lose an election, because that competition was second to none. every single year as well, we had in this constituency a St. Philip Carnival. I overheard people giving Michael Lashley the credit for starting the St. Philip Carnival. The St. Philip Carnival started right here in this house, right here in this constituency office. And let me tell you something. I was the first chief judge in the competition. And I remember going to meet Matt Fingal down in Kings Park in order to present the prizes for the bands that had won. That, what Michael Lashley should be given, not credit, but you should be given the discredit for, is for destroying the St. Philip Carnival. Because it was under him that all the unwanted negativities crept into the St. Philip Carnival. And it was that caused the destruction of the carnival, really. And that committee, I remember that committee having people like Curtis Jordan, Matt Fingal, there were a few more people. Cappy started that St. Philip Carnival. And it was destroyed under Michael Lashley. All of the lewdness and all of the shootings and all of the people jumping in the band and all of that happened under his watch, not under Cappy's watch. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not my duty to present to you tonight, but to bring a lady to you, a lady who will soon need no introduction in this constituency, a lady who, like George said, her hands are clean, and Cappy said her hands are clean. She is a woman of character. She will not dupe you. She will not dump you. She will not trick you. Not like the representative that you presently have. So I'm going to bring a woman to you who does not like liars. And you know, if she doesn't like liars, she doesn't like this particular government, because it is a government that does not tell the truth. So I am going to bring to you tonight the next representative for the constituency of St. Philip North. I'm bringing to you Dr. Sonia Browne.
Civil servants get downgraded, can't get a raise of pay. All of them bawling, crying tears. We getting great politics, can't get a pothole fix, can't get a bus no night or day. 10 years stress and strain had the whole country in pain. 10 years had agents going insane. All of them must go, can't get the lashes no go. So you see, we voting PLP. Who you voting for? Sonia Browne. Who you voting for? Sonia Browne. Voting who? Sonia Browne. Who you voting for? Sonia. Taxes to make you sick, can't see what they do with it. Some say they burn it up real quick. When you think they're done with me, 90 days of salary, and we can't pay university. 10 years we in pain, while I'm shouting whole strain. And the farmers, they want to cut the canes. All of them must go, can't get the lashes no more. So you see, we voted VLP. Who you voting for? Sonia Browne. Who you voting for? Sonia Browne. Voting who? Sonia Browne. Who you voting for? Sonia Browne. Who you voting for? Sonia Browne. Who you voting for? Sonia Browne. Voting who? Sonia Browne. Who you voting for? Sonia Browne. We in this thing together, we voting Sonia. 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 We in this thing together, we voting.
That's the introduction to my song. Thanks to Ronnie D. Good night, Marleyville, and everyone within earshot of me. Thanks so much for all of you for coming out tonight. First of all, I would like to thank Crystal. I met Crystal in River a couple of days ago. And before, she was our first speaker. Before I could open my mouth, Crystal had about 4 people paying attention to her. I thought she was one of the brightest people I had met, and they say our young people are no good. She came out here and spoke from her heart, not a piece of paper. And the next meeting, I could see so much potential, and yet they're saying that our young people don't have potential and nothing to offer. You know. I would like to thank Mr. Griffith, who gave a beautiful speech on my behalf, and I'm grateful for your support. He makes me wonder, what else do I have to talk about? Needless to say, Cappy brought that a little further home. Not sure which foreplay we're talking about, but I'll try and do the playing now. Try and do the playing. I must apologize for Yusun. He was scheduled to speak, Yusun Inish, but he's over there nursing a cold. So he has a cough, so we'll have him sit out to the next meeting maybe. I am up here basically to put forward my case for St. Philip North and for St. Philip and for Barbados by extension. And you know, I think it's time to decide. It is time to decide here and now. 2 things, 1 or 2 things. If you're willing to go down with this burning ship called the Democratic Labour Party, or if you are willing to save yourselves. I am going for the latter. It's time to save ourselves. Clearly, they're not doing it for us. This situation in Barbados has gone past politics. It's no longer about the Ps. I call them the Ps. The BLPs and the DLPs and the PPPs and the UPPs and all the Ps and the PPPs, that too. It's no longer about you, Mr. Stewart, making history. It's no longer about blind loyalty to a political party. Speaking to Crystal, I realize a lot of people, a lot of her colleagues and peers are still holding on to the fact that they may have got a little money every 5 years, and that's the basis of their loyalty. People, Democratic Labour Party owes you so much more than a little bit of money every 5 years. And you see this road in front here? Michael has not done that for you. That's Michael's job. He just took 10 years to do it. Don't ever feel that you owe Michael Lashley for this road. He owes you a whole lot more. This election is no longer about, as I said, the politicians anymore. It's about me. It's about you. It's about your children and your grandchildren and the generation beyond that we have to think about. It is about our ability to survive under this way of taxation. So many to remember. VAT gone up, NSRL is there. But yet everybody is telling you tonight, so obviously it's true that for the last 10 years, the civil servants have not seen a cent in increase in salary. My question is, with all these taxes put on, how on earth do you pay them with no increase in salary? How do you pay them legally? Let me put it that way. You ain't getting back the land tax, you ain't getting back the reverse tax credit. We ain't getting income tax, not getting back. I think 3 years I'm still waiting on mine, and this is kind of money that people are depending on every year. Under the DLP, we can't see it yet. Ask yourselves a question: is it worth it another 5 years? And I think Peter Wickham put it very aptly. It's time to end the circus. People have to realize that we are now in an international game where 2 little tweaks of a finger can get it to China. And it really is beginning to look a little dismal that Barbados is getting to the point where all the desperate political parties are coming out just for a little chance to get rid of the DLP. Donald Innes says the no parties are about getting against the BLP, but people are tired of this foolishness. There's only so much beating that a man can take. So people are just trying a thing. But it's now turning into this so-called circus. Not fair. Right now, Mr. Stewart, I feel, and I believe many Barbadians also feel, like a child being punished for something that they don't know what to do. Something I am not sure what we have done to deserve this kind of treatment. And you know what gets to me? Cappy was speaking about 3 ministers of parliament St. Philip has for the last 10 to 15 years, depending on who you're looking at. But I counted to see how many in St. Philip North, and they're not 1, not 2, not 3, not even 4, about 5. We have Michael Lashley not so far out the road, housing and transport and works. We have Stephen Lashley up the hill, sports and culture. Quartz was just speaking about these sports programs. We have an in-house minister responsible for sports and culture, and what have you had so far with respect to sports and culture? I'll get back to Mr. Lashley. We have Chris Sinclair, although here he might be moving to St. George soon. But with him going, David Estwick will be coming in. And then to top it all off, the icing on the cake, we have the whole Prime Minister, not too far from here, living. St. Philip, by right, should be the best equipped, most beautiful parish in the whole of Barbados. But what has happened? Y'all get paid back with one little road after 10 years. That ain't finished yet. I can barely recognize my little island of Barbados now. We have some of the worst roads. St. Philip North, we might be second to maybe St. John, but I don't know what's happening up there. Can't pray for rainfall. The roads, they're now scrambling in Harry Smith to build roads. Scrambling everywhere. St. John getting a few. Transport board, inefficient and ineffective. Down to 60 buses to service this whole island. Standing up here, we've seen a lot of the yellow ones, but we're the transport board buses. Y'all have a minister of transport a few meters away from here. Minister of transport. I just spoke to one of my constituents that just came and said she was in the bus stand. At 8 o'clock she showed up. She was in the bus stand from 2 p.m. this afternoon with her 10-year-old granddaughter. That is ridiculous. This is what we are putting up with, and they say putting up with. We have a sanitation service. The garbage truck, luckily enough, just came to pick up garbage, which I understand was here for at least 3 weeks. Long Bay is miserable. Blaze Hill is miserable. I know the fellas on the truck, they're trying. They do what they could do with what little they have. But we need trucks. We need that kind of thing. For the first time since independence, poverty is increasing in Barbados. The first time since 1966, poverty is increasing. Something is wrong. Unemployment is ridiculous. And I know Martyville has a lot of it like the rest of Barbados. I see the boys, what they like to call the boys on the block, but if there's nothing to do, people congregate and hang out. We got issues with crime. And y'all, of all people in the island, Martyville should know best. Because just a few feet away, y'all lost 2 of your own to gunshots. And the best I could see is Frondell Stewart and Michael Lashley coming on the police guard to take some photo ops. Where were they when he was listening to the families crying? Where were they when I met one of their cousins and colleagues and friends who was standing up beside them when the gunshots rang out? But all we got was a photo op. And now we have a minister not minister, what's his name? The Attorney General coming up with laws that he could shut down a neighborhood. No consultation, as Crystal was talking about. This is a government without consultation. No consultation with the populace. So they have the right on this any kind of suspicion by police to shut down from X to Y. Shut down a whole neighborhood. You cannot leave. You cannot come in. They have the right on the suspicion. No need proof to come into your house and search what you have. This is what Barbados is. It sounds like a whole different country to me. We have a middle class that is dwindling. And the middle class, as most people know, run the country. Without a middle class, there can be no lower class, there can be no upper class. The middle class is the one that will hire the maid and the gardener. When that disappears, those people going home, those children are not fed. The middle class had a lot of, I don't want to call it privileges, because they deserved it taken away. Things like mutual fund savings that we could claim on taxes, gone. Mortgage interest rates, claims on taxes, tax returns, gone. In fact, there are many houses, I know friends of mine, more than one, plural, that have lost their house under this system where they're missing and they're being in recession. So if you miss a payment, the bank is coming to get it. And this government has the power, or had the power, to step in and negotiate with the banks to save your house. to save your blood, sweat, and tears, and it's not away from St. Philip, it's right in our own backyard. Sanford is suffering with it. Apple Hall is suffering with it. These are the kind of things that we are expected to put up with, and I say no. Our young people are suffering. You know, I think there is a feeling about St. Philip North, and I would guess the rest of Barbados, where young people feel useless and hopeless. They think they're being thrown aside, and hence the block culture. And I don't say that in an offensive way. But part of the block culture, and we have to admit it, is a prerequisite to the gang culture in some instances. I'm not saying all of it, but this is what the government has done to you. If you can't get jobs, to get a job you need training, you can't get the training. Thanks, Maureen. But this is the kind of thing we have to face. We got making criminals of our young people. And that's another thing the Barbados Labour Party is planning to look at the justice system, get things through the court at a proper time so that when you get robbed or raped or killed, the case does not take 7-10 years to come up. These are the kind of things that Adriel Braffett has been sitting on and doing nothing about for the last 10 years. We have young people pushed aside, as I said. They now are being asked to pay UE fees. How on earth? I could never have done it. Coming out to school at 18 to going to UE, where am I supposed to fund the money to pay UE fees? Yes, it says student loans, but the requirements for student loans sometimes are quite ridiculous. So what does that leave? Some more members for the block. On the other hand, we have people coming out to UE, well qualified, but can find a job in the gas station. This is what your Barbados has come to. Crime and violence, as I mentioned, is madness. And you know, when it used to be in tongue, we felt sorry for people, but you didn't really take it home. Now it's in your backyard. I can admit it. After Rico and Ronaldo were killed, I took a week to get in here because I was frightened. My mother said to me, "Where you going? You not leaving from here?" Frondell Stewart and Michael Lashley got police guard though. What you got? How much bullets you could take? I was scared. But I came in the following week and had a talk to the family members, and I had a look and see what was going on, spoke to the fellas, who respectfully so removed the shed there. But that is the kind of feeling I had. That was a kind of feeling where you really can sleep. And St. Philip is not used to that. Not used to that at all. We have issues now with violence and crime in schools, people. When it was at school, the thought of rewarding somebody for being good was almost ridiculous. That would have been the whole school. Now we are talking about giving kudos, well deservedly so, to people that are doing the right thing. Somehow the tables got turned on us suddenly. We rewarding people to doing the right thing more so than punishing people doing the wrong thing. And I'm proud of the young lady from Princess Margaret. She deserves all the respect and kudos that she got. But we need to get back a system where school children, it would have been a rarity to pick up a chair and try at a teacher door. And I know Barbados Labour Party, that is one of the things that they consider crisis and going to aim at doing that. Put people in the schools to guide these young people. We have a whole society of stress. We have parents not working, coming home with stress after spending 6 hours in the bus stand. Put it on to the children, and these children have nothing to eat. You know, I went through a few of these districts. The last place I went that I heard it was in the very river Wellhouse area. And a gentleman, a staunch supporter of the Democratic Labour Party, and Michael Lashley, I said to him, "How are you managing the supermarket?" He said, "Well, if I can't afford it, but you just need to tighten your belt." Boss, I'm choking. You need to tighten your belt. How you going to do that, sir? I can eat potato every day. I can ask one question. You think Michael Lashley eating potato every day? You think Frondell Stewart eating potato every day? So why should you have to? It's these kind of loyalties that make me wonder. These make me wonder that will make somebody vote for Michael, and putting him in opposition, as this was said earlier, is quite useless. I mean, he will maintain his record of doing nothing for you, so I suppose if you look at it that way. We have a Barbados now, the elderly is neglected. I met a gentleman that was Waterhall, old gentleman, house almost broken down, pit toilet on the outside. could barely hear, could barely see, and he's living alone. Where is the government in this case? How do people get help? I had a young gentleman in my district whose welfare was stopped. The man cannot work for himself. His brothers and sisters, adult, are not obligated to take care of him. The truth is, I begged and begged, and they got it reinstated. But I met another young lady, a blind, brilliant, bright, beautiful woman. And because of the system in which she grew up, where the education would have been limited, she was forced to be on welfare. But guess what? The welfare has stopped. What is she to do? Can't work, no qualifications. What is she to do? These are things me and Motley and the Barbados Labour Party intend to look at and do something about. I met somebody in Bottom Bay with a Down syndrome child and cannot get the bus to pick her up to take her to school. I mean, ain't got buses for the general population could dare. These are the real issues in Barbados that I will be honest, I did not know they existed till this politics came up, and I got to walk among the people and rub shoulders. And if Michael does not do it, I don't know how he will understand and know what is going on out there. That too. Well, if he hiding from you, how you can know your car is undercover? But these are the issues that people face and hear every day. I have children that come to my office that go to school, my daughter, and they know for a fact they don't get breakfast. Where the breakfast program school means, yes, we are grateful, the cheapest form of meal you could find. But some children are coming to school without breakfast. Some children are going home and washing the uniform every evening to come back because they have one suit that costs $300. Where are the politicians here? We used to get a little stipend when children were going into secondary school. Where has that gone? Where has that gone? Ask yourself these questions. This is what Barbados has come to. We have a healthcare system, and I'll give you a story, because this one is near and dear to me, and I hope the person involved does not get offended, but I think it needs to come to the public fore. I just attended a funeral to a dear friend of mine, young lady, 2 children, one 17 and one about 7 years old, died, left a husband. No, she had a bleed in her head. Textbook kind of thing. She went to casualty and waited from morning till night to get a CAT scan. How can this happen in Barbados? QEH, which used to be the best in the region. Now she has gone and left a husband with 2 children, a teenager and a young one. The teenager is about to enter UE. How is he supposed to find the fees on the job he has with single parent now to put this child in UE? Brilliant girl. I knew her from the time she was about 4. And I expect a Barbados scholarship out to her. Well, luckily Ronald Jones will be gone, so she should be able to get it. But how are people like this? And you know the argument is they cannot maintain the system forever. UE fees cannot be free forever. But the UE fees are about a minor portion of the budget that government has. People were expected to leave UE in the final year of study. How could that be fair? And I know it has affected somebody in this crowd. People think, Jareen, it has affected you. I think the same Crystal had to delay her studies for this same tuition business. This can't be fair when each and every one of them, I believe, had UE degrees, UE or beyond degrees. How can you now place it on citizens that are already being taxed heavily and don't even know where to turn? We have become a Barbados now where people coming out the woodwork because they feel desperate. We have people like Natalie, and I'm not going to down cry her, but she feels desperate. She feels the need to say something to protect her people. I'm not sure she's doing it the right way, but I can understand how she is feeling. There is a wind of desperation in Barbados. I feel it. I feel it, and I think it is crushing and choking. And the only body that does not feel it is Frondel Stewart, well, bodies, Frondel Stewart and company. And I think personally he's laughing at us, you know. I think there's an ego thing where he's saying, oh, you think I can call elections because he also so? Well, let me try it a different way. Don't call elections. Let me see if he can call tomorrow. Holding it up to ransom, begging. He should be begging us, not the other way around. Who you think put him there? Stop feeling beholden to these fellas. We got a healthcare system. I should continue. QEH is in the most, from the time you land in the car park, it looked like the roads, potholes everywhere. nowhere to park that is efficient. You walk into the hospital, it looks like something out of the outback. The doctors and nurses working under stress. We got one, as far as I remember, I stand under correction, we got one neurosurgeon there, one oncologist consultant. How can we exist in a country with 290 people with such with staff? What happens when they take vacation or travel overseas? Tell me. I mean, it's really unacceptable. And then we have ministers dabbling in areas where they shouldn't get in. We have ministers deciding which doctors will be hired and which doctors will not be hired, which maids will be put in and which, I mean, gone are the days when the criteria for you getting a job is if you are a Barbados Labour Party supporter or Democratic Labour Party supporter. I think that had been a bunch of foolishness for the last few years. You should be hired on your merit, not deciding where you put your ex 5 years ago. Foolishness. And these are the things that we put up with, and it's just growing into some sort of disease. Now, a gentleman on Facebook asked me to speak about the drug service. And I am in the dead middle of it because of my job. A little while ago, Democratic Labour Party tried this, and they took off a lot of the brand name medications, important medications, hypertension, diabetes, etc., and put on generic. I mean, I will admit that a lot of the countries are existing on generic medication. But that is not what Barbados is about. The last time they tried it, I personally had patients. I'm probably going to be reported or cussed for not reporting them. But I personally had patients that had allergies to some of these generics. I personally had patients that I had to start from scratch with respect to the diabetic control. Now, all of these drugs, most of them will be taken off shortly. And I can be honest, they said they were honored until September. I do a little thing, I write everybody prescription for 6 months, although they're coming back to me in 4 because they need to get this medication. How do you ask old people to continue on the medication you have them controlled on and pay this kind of money? Most of those brand name medications don't go beyond $30 per month, if you're lucky. The undertakers are the ones that will benefit. And every day we're talking about non-communicable diseases and stress. How do you expect people to get over or to get control of their diabetes, hypertension, asthma, if there's not access and a maintenance of the medication? Drugs running out at the polyclinics. I had a couple of weeks of trying to find a medication, a necessary medication for one of my thyroid patients. Can't find it. No alternative. This is Democratic Labour Party people. You got to know these things to understand who you're dealing with. When I was at the polyclinic, when I was working there, we used to have outreach programs with the nurses where we visited the new mothers to give them advice. We visited patients that could not get to the polyclinic for whatever reason. When last y'all see a nurse up in here? We need to get that done, and I know for a fact this is one of the things in our manifesto. You know, Barbados Labour Party, we honor our manifestos, unlike what's happening with the Democratic Labour Party. The only one I could think, you know, and I thought hard, because a friend of mine, Jerome Davis, said to me, never ever again say that I'm not a politician, but it's hard when it's the view of people that politicians are no good. But I sat down home this evening and last week, and week before, and last month, and gave Michael an honest shot. And I said, what has Michael Lashley done? What can I say in his favor? Promise and perform. You got a lot of promises, he did that. I'm going to admit he built some houses in Parish Land and over here at River. But who in the houses? Who in the merits? Who in the houses? I have met so many people that I canvassed that told me they applied. Did they get it? No, but yeah, I understand that the quota is filled for those. All over the country, and nobody can afford to go in them. I went a little further. He built the grotto, and I just got my nice rose framed glasses to read the Auditor General's report on the grotto and Valerie. And I will urge any one of you to get it. This is it will kind of make you cry though. He built the grotto high-rise what you call it, high-rise apartments for low-income people. First of all, almost on the first page, you see that he went over budget and no explanation given for one by $7.7 million. You know how much people that could feed? He went over the grotto by about $9.85 million. It never went out to tender, which means all the little contractors around here that depend on these jobs were not even asked to put in a tender. One man get this, and they can left you to guess who it is. One man get it. This could be fair, and he's representing you. I remember the community center in St. Mark's in Three Houses Hill got built, and soon after the people of the National Housing, NHC, got sent home, and I don't remember seeing one of them working on that building after. Not one. This is the representative that lives up under you. That hiding, exactly, M&M's all the way. These are the kind of things that make you wonder. And the Amy and Motley, them know who it is. Them is stupid people. We need to get back Barbados to a safe place where you can walk about and not be frightened to come in Marleyville. I ain't frightened now, because I know half of these people here. But you need space when you can walk about. You could go for exercise at the park without hurrying home when it gets too dark. These are the kind of things. We're talking about health and wellness, but we're in St. Philip. Y'all have somewhere to go and exercise. I can't even find a community center other than St. Mark's, really, where y'all go to recreate, where y'all go to learn new things. We have a community center in St. Mark's. Everybody can't get up there. We need a few more. We need to get the people educated, young people, bring it out into the communities, get them skills where they can actually get a job. People interested in feeding themselves, they don't want no handout anymore. I met young women that have children and trying to build a house. They tell you straight, all I want is a job. I don't want no handouts. I want to make my own money. This is the Barbados that I am proud to say is mine. But we got a bunch of renegade ministers that I really don't know what to say about them. And I want to give them a chance. As I said, the Minister of Sports and Culture up Mount Pleasant. How much sports and how much culture are we promoting in St. Philip North? Who's that, Michael? I could have shared. Could have tell me. But we have that. We have transport and work. Can't get transport, can't get works. Can't get housing. Well, Kelman has taken that over. Good luck, Chuck, with that one. Can't get garbage collection. The schools gone away. The schools, I don't know, they expect these teachers to work in environments like this, and they're working hard. Teachers, despite the insults from Ronald Jones, which I thought was out of place, I don't know how they sit down and listen to him, because I personally would have walked out. Teachers that are disrespected for a ministry due. I already put down 2 of my patients that had invested in CLICO, one $120,000 and the other $80,000, both of them dead. I didn't see a cent. But these are the promises being made. No. CLICO money coming back. Appointments left, right, and center. Although I met a guy that was in government for 16 years and still waiting for an appointment. Something wrong with this story, though. Appointments coming left, right, and center. These are the things people you got to look for. And you know what? Ask questions. I am constantly hearing Barbados Labour Party supporters saying when Michael can run